What we're working on today is we're going to finish up Unit 1.7. Okay, so this is kind of like Unit 1.7 continued. Okay, and what we're going to be working on today is addition and subtract. Add and subtract with scientific notation. Adding and subtracting with scientific notation. Okay, you've already learned how to change things to be from what's called standard form to scientific notation. Then last week we worked on multiplication and division with scientific notation. And today we're going to finish up 1.7, so you will have some homework that's in your book, and it is going to be, again, with scientific notation. So something like this. For number 1, if I give you the problem, 2 times 10 to the third power minus 1.9 times 10 to the second power. 2 times 10 to the third power minus 1.9 times 10 to the second power. So there are a couple of steps that you need to follow here. Okay, step 1. Step 1 is to change problem. Change the problem so both parts have the same power of 10. Okay, so change the problem so that both the parts have the same power of 10. Okay, and I also want you to write yourself a note that we're always going to change it to be the higher power. Okay, so change to be higher power.
I'm going too fast.
So we're going to change these both to be the same power of 10. Because right now, I could do 2 minus 1.9, but these are different powers of 10. So really, 2 times 10 to the third is like 2,000, okay? 1.9 times 10 to the second is actually just 190. So those are totally different things. Yes, Chantal?
Can you read step 1?
Change problems so both parts have the same power of 10. Sorry, I forgot the word same. Have same power of 10. Sorry about that. Change the problem so both parts have same power of 10. And we always want to change to be the higher power. So here, in this problem, which one needs to be changed? The first part or the second part? The first part or the second part? The second part needs to be changed to be the same power of 10. So if I need to change this to be a power of 10, okay, to be 10 to the third power, I want this to be 10 to the third. Okay? If I need to add a power, that means I need to move the decimal place. Okay? So what actually happens here is whenever you add powers, you move the decimal place to the left. Okay? We're going to basically take away a decimal place. Okay, so here, to move this to be 10 to the third, move your decimal place over 1 time. So this becomes minus 0.19 times 10 to the third. Okay, if you move it over once. Then we're just going to rewrite this. So this would be 2 times 10 to the third. Then I want you to take these and put them together. Okay, if you put these in the same parentheses, 2 minus 0.19, okay, and it's still going to be multiplied by 10 to the third power. Now we actually have to do that. So how would I do 2 minus 0.19? Where's the decimal place on 2? Behind the 2. So 2 points, okay? If we are doing subtraction, you have to line up the decimal places. So here we have to add in some places here. What do I add after the 2? Some zeros. Okay? Then if we subtract, we're going to have to do some borrow and carrying. So this becomes a 1, which gives you a 10. Borrow and carry, so we have 10 minus 9 gives you 1. 9 minus 1 gives you 8. Bring down your decimal point and a 1. So the actual answer here is 1.81 times 10 to the third power. That is the answer that I'm actually looking for. Okay, so we're changing these to be the same decimal, or excuse me, the same power of 10, and then once you have the same power of 10, you can do your addition or subtraction. Okay, we're going to do a couple of these. I know these are a little bit confusing. Okay, and I've seen your test. I just got it. There is some of this stuff on there. Okay, so it is a little challenging. Okay, for number 2, I would like you to find 5.2 times 10 to the 7th plus 3.01 times 10 to the 4th. 5.2 times 10 to the 7th, plus 3.01 times 10 to the 4th. Yes, ma'am. 5.2 times 10 to the 7th plus 3.01 times 10 to the 4th power. So here, which power of 10 am I changing? The first one or the second one? The second one. We're always going to change it to be the higher one. So this one's going to stay the same, so I'm just going to rewrite it. So 5.2 times 10 to the 7th. If I want to change this to be a 10 to the 7th, how many decimal places am I going to have to move? 3. So I already have 4. Okay, so I'm going to move 3 more over. So if you are always going to move it to the left, so move over 1, 2, 3. Put a dot. Sometimes, what do you think you're going to have to put in here? Some zeros. Okay, so I have to put a 0 and another 0. So I kind of covered up my plus sign, but that's okay. So I'm just going to rewrite this. So plus 0.00301 times 10 to the 7th. Now, what am I going to do? Actually add them together. So we're going to do 5.2 plus 0.00301, and it's still times 10 to the 7th power. If you line these up, remember, we always going to line up the decimal place, okay, when you're adding. So 0.00301. Add those together. What's missing here? Some zeros. Do I have to write in the zeros? Not when you're adding, okay? But if you do, that's okay. You can just write in however many zeros you need. Then add these together. Okay, so that gives you a 1, a 0, a 3, a 0, a 2. Bring down your decimal place, and a 5. So your actual answer here is 5.20301 times 10 to the 7th. So you are going to have sometimes like a pretty crazy amount of decimal places. That's okay. Okay, and remember, your answers need to be written in scientific notation. So scientific notation means how many digits can be in front of the decimal place? Just 1. Okay, has to be just 1. Does it look like you have homework on this tonight? Yeah, it's on the board, yep. Okay, number 3. There's hardly any problems tonight. Okay, I'm going to try number 3. 2.005 times 10 to the 5th minus 8.664 times 10 to the 2nd. 2.005 times 10 to the 5th power minus 8.664 times 10 to the 2nd power. So for this one, which one needs to change? The first one or the second part? The second part, and I need to make it a power of what? I need to make it a power of 5 because you're always going to go to the bigger one. So this one we're just going to rewrite. So 2.005 times 10 to the 5th minus, now, if I need to go from 2 places to 5, how many spaces do I have to move over? 3. So move over 1, 2, 3 spaces, put your dot. Add in your zeros if you need them. So here we're going to add 2 zeros. So we're going to do minus 0.008664 times 10 to the 5th. This is just simple like addition, subtraction with decimal places. Okay, so don't freak out about this. It's nothing more than just regular addition or subtraction with decimal places. And then we're just adding in a times 10 to something. Okay, but I don't want you thinking that this is like totally brand new and you've never done this before and make it like super difficult. Okay, so 2.005 minus 0.008664 in your parentheses times 10 to the 5th. Now, on your papers, I should see some calculations like this. Okay, I should see where you are doing the subtraction. If you are choosing to use a calculator at home on your homework, that's fine. But on your test, you can't use a calculator, so you better get used to doing the subtraction or the addition. Okay, so make sure you understand how to do it. I'm not going to say it's cheating to use a calculator at home, but I would practice this way, because on your test, you're not going to be able to use a calculator. If that's the only way you can add and subtract, it's going to be a problem on your test, for sure. Okay, so line these up. So 0.008664. And we are subtracting. So whenever you're subtracting, you have to put in those zeros at the end. So we're going to have to do a little bit of borrowing and carrying, but that's okay. So we can borrow from the 5, make it a 4. Make this a 10, borrow from it, make it a 9. Make this a 10, borrow from it, make it a 9. Make this a 10. So if you do your subtraction, 10 minus 4 gives you 6. 9 minus 6 is 3. 9 minus another 6 is 3. Can I do 4 minus 8? So where do I borrow from? The 2. So this becomes a 1. That would become a 10, which becomes a 9. This one becomes a 10, which becomes a 9, and that becomes actually a 14. So 14 minus 8 gives you what? 6. 9 minus 0 is 9. 9 minus another 0 is 9. Bring down your decimal point, and a 1. So these are a little challenging because there's just a lot of decimals. Thank you. Okay, there's just a lot of decimals going on here. So your actual answer is 1.996336 times 10 to the 5th power. And yes, it is okay to get that many crazy decimals. Anyone have questions so far? Yes.
How come we're not putting like the in parentheses?
This one? Because it's still times 10 to the 5th. So when they're the same, you don't have to do anything with the exponents.
I know, but for like the original problem, how come we don't put the two like parentheses like we did for the multiplication?
Oh, like this you mean?
Yeah.
Because if you put them in, these ones, because of order of operations, we do parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, and then additions or subtraction. So automatically, even if there's not parentheses, you know that you have to do the multiplication. The multiplications go together before the addition or subtraction would. But in a multiply, divide problem, if you put them in parentheses, it gives you like some priority to know what to do first. Does that make sense? It's just not the way the problems come. Yeah, but that's kind of why. Okay, let's do 2 more, and then I think that I'll give you guys, and then I think we'll be good, and you guys can get started on your work. So for number 4, I would like you to find 6.2 times 10 to the 5th, 6.2 times 10 to the 5th, plus 9.7 times 10 to the 1st. 6.2 times 10 to the 5th power, plus 9.7 times 10 to the 1st power. It's like on the I's office. Alrighty. So which one are we going to have to change? The first one or the second one? The second one, right? Now, it's not always going to be that way, okay? It just happens that a lot of these, it's the second one. But it's not always going to be that way. And I'm going to change this to be what? What power of 10? We want to change it to be the 5th power. So if I'm going to make this times 10 to the 5th, I'm going to have to move it how many times?
4.
4 times. So move over 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Put your dot, decimal place. So how many zeros do I have to add in the beginning? 3 of them. And you have to fill in the blanks there. So then we're going to add 0.00097 times 10 to the 5th. So put your addition together, 6.2 plus 0.00097, and then we're going to have times 10 to the 5th power. Now if we line these up, 6.2 and a 0.00097, we should get 6.20097. Did I do that right? 6.20097 times 10 to the 5th power. Did we all get that answer? Do we agree? Okay, let's do one more and then we'll be done. Okay, and then I'll let you guys have some time to work, so hopefully you won't have homework. Let's do 7.32 times 10 to the 6th minus 4.01 times 10 to the 8th power. 7.32 times 10 to the 6th minus 4.01 times 10 to the 8th. This one's a little bit more challenging. So which one am I going to have to change for this one? The first part or the second one? You actually have to change the first one here, and I want to make it times 10 to the 8th. So how many decimal places do I have to add? I have to add 2 more decimal places. So that means I'm going to add 2 more decimal places. So you're going to put in a 0. So this is 0.0732 times 10 to the 8th minus 4.01 times 10 to the 8th. If we group together just the add subtract part, it's 0.0732 minus 4.01 times 10 to the 8th. How do I do that when the second number is larger? How do I do that? 0.0732 minus 4.01. 0.0732 minus 4.01. Can I line that up that way? No. What do you actually have to do if you're... Is my answer going to be positive or negative? It's going to be negative. But can I actually line it up that way? No, you actually have to line it up so the bigger one is on top. So in this case, it's the 4.01. And subtract from that 0.0732 and just know that your answer is going to be negative. Okay, your answer will be negative. So line up your zeros. Do borrow and carry if you need to. So 9 minus 2 gives you 7. 9 minus 3 gives you 6. 10 minus 7 gives you what? 3. 9 minus 0 gives you 9, and 3 minus nothing is 3. Oops. I'm sorry. That should have been a 10 at the end, not a 9. I borrowed and carried too much. Find it? Thanks. So our answer should actually be negative 3.9368 times 10 to the 8th power. Negative 3.9368 times 10 to the 8th power. Okay, in your homework, or excuse me, in your books, you are going to be working on page 63. Okay, there's a little bit of the multiply divide ones in here as well. Okay, but most of what you're doing is you are finishing what you did on last week on Thursday. Okay, so you should have already done 1 through 6. Now you're going to do 8 through 11 and then 19 to 22. Okay, so it's not that bad. You only have 8 problems to do. I expect that you will be working on them right now, and if you get done before the end of the period, let me know, and I will check your answers, and if you have them right, then I will give you a stamp for extra credit. Okay, go ahead and get to it, and you're starting on page 63.